college in America. It's 4 years of all-nighters, going to parties, making friends, Pinterest-perfect dorm rooms, and crushing student debt.
There's a new headache coming to a family near you: rising defaults on student loans.
Student loan debt is a $1.5 trillion financial crisis in America. The average household with student debt owes more than $47,000.
2/3 of all jobs in America require at least some college. And that wasn't the case when most members of this committee were in school. And you paid far less for your degrees.
The total bill due for students in America tops $1 trillion.
That's right. Student debt in the US is now bigger than debt from credit cards and auto loans, and is second only to mortgages.
College has become wildly expensive for most families, and yet college is one instance, maybe the only one, when banks will consider a teenager with no credit history, no guaranteed income, and a loan that can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Here's the problem. At a time when higher education's never been more important, it's also never been more expensive. The average tuition at a public university has more than tripled. At the same time that the typical family's income has gone up just 16%.
On a large scale, we're seeing a severe national problem right now of crippling student debt for so many.
A lot of high schools focus on, oh, we're gonna get you to college, we're gonna get you there, you're gonna be prepared. Oh, okay, who's gonna emotionally prepare me for the debt that I'm gonna have for the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life?
I had no idea the amount of loans you had to take out just to get an education.
The student loan debt total in America is just over $1.7 trillion. And the one question many students have is, how in the world am I going to pay for that?
Nearly 70% of students had to take out loans to make it through college. On average, each student graduated about $30,000 in debt.
What I wish I knew is the crushing anxiety coming up towards graduation where you're like,
So I chose to get a degree because naturally I was interested, but also I knew that it would set me up for success later in life.
I knew that I needed to go to college to get into a career path that I wanted to exceed and make a decent amount of money in.
So I decided to go to college because I wanted to do a specific profession. I would like to be a speech language pathologist someday, and in order to do that, you do have to get certified and do a bunch of different things. So I came to college because it was necessary for the field that I wanted to go into.
I understood that there were trades, and I thought about trades. I'm not really a trade person, I'm kind of lazy. So I was really deep in thought. I was not a trade, I guess I'll go to college because I need to get a job. I'm not gonna live with my parents for the rest of my life.
I think I chose to go to college because it was, both my parents are college educated, and it was kind of their understanding that we would all go. It was not, there wasn't really much of an option or choice for me. I went to college just because it was something my parents did, my sisters did. I thought it was a good way to further my career.
And we know that those who have training, not just college degrees, but training, whether it's in a trade or a field or a sector, make off better than those who don't necessarily have training.
So when I started college, when I was going into college, my understanding of student loans were that they were loans like every other loan. But I understood it as, a loan that is specially granted to kids of a certain age, because otherwise it's very unlikely that, an 18-year-old would get a loan for that amount of money with no proof of income, no prospects necessarily proving you'd make it back.
I had a general understanding that I would have loans and that I would also receive some scholarships, but I don't think I fully understood what that would actually look like in terms of how that would impact my life later on.
And I knew that you took out a lot of money and you also gained interest. I definitely think that I did not have a full understanding, and I definitely think that high schools in general should teach more, because I don't know anything about the specific type of interest. To me, I don't even know what type of loan I have. I kind of went through my dad. Glad that I had my dad to help me, but a lot of kids don't really have parental figures that know about numbers or know things. So as much as I'm in the blind, like there's more people who are like blind.
It's not because no one explained it to me, but I think the biggest thing was the difference between an unsubsidized and a subsidized loan and how those amounts change as you get older. So as you become a junior and a senior, those amounts change, but also they vary based upon if you are filing as an independent or as a dependent. So I wish that I had kind of had more awareness of that.
The common issue that I'm finding are that students don't know the difference between a subsidized and an unsubsidized loan. So let's take a look. Certain federal student loans, such as the Perkins loan, are government subsidized. This means that the government pays for the interest on your loan while you're in school, and during a grace period, which is usually 6 months after graduation. Private student loans are not subsidized, so interest starts accumulating from day one and you're responsible for paying for it, even while you're a student. Now be aware that not all federal student loans are subsidized. For example, Stafford loans are a direct unsubsidized loan. You're still borrowing money from the government, but you're responsible for paying for the interest that accumulates while you're in school.
I wish that when I had signed them, I had more of an understanding that this is going to be what will probably dictate at least the near future.
You don't look at them all 4 years. Like you start them, when you graduate, and you're like, all right, cool, this loan, like it's fine, like it'll be fine, and then you don't look at them until like you're like, oh, I just graduated, like I have 6 months, and you're like,